Hey, what's going on everyone? Matthew from therighttrader.com back today with another daily crypto update. Today we're going to go over our normal schedule in a more detailed technical analysis on TradingView. We're also going to talk about what's going on with the general market, and it looks like cryptocurrencies are about to become even more boring. Now what I mean by that is we're likely to see some continued consolidation until we exit the current pattern that we're in. I'm going to cover that in our technical analysis, of course. But there is some good news with that is we're likely to start to slow down any further fall for the time being. And that doesn't mean that we might not fall later on, but for now we should be able to stabilize for a bit. So that's better than, of course, the massive downtrend that we've been in that's been putting the prices even lower day by day. And don't forget to check me out on Twitter for live cryptocurrency market updates. I actually made a poll yesterday asking, do you think cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin can drop much more? And actually around 70% said yes, so that was not expected. And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on the comments about that. But also make sure to check out my premium content where you can find monthly cryptocurrency buying opportunities. Link to all of that in the description of this video. And just to go over quickly the general market, as you can see, we're relatively flat and mixed across the board. Now, let's start off the technical analysis with Bitcoin. And just to give you the bigger picture idea of the formation that we're in this symmetrical triangle pattern. We see that by the downtrend line over here and the uptrend line. These two pink trend lines form the symmetrical triangle that we're in. And what usually happens is that we consolidate in a relatively flat manner until we reach the end of the formation. At that point, we'll either break towards the upside of that or the downside. And that's what's really going to set the trend for the prices for Bitcoin and for cryptocurrencies in general, most likely. Now, like I mentioned, that's where I talked about things becoming a bit boring because we're probably going to see the price kind of bounce between $8,000, maybe $9,000 until we reach the end of the formation. So we're going to be pretty flat here. That's what I meant to say by boring. Now, as we can see, there is some positive signs. The fact that we can see that the MACD, the histogram, RSI are all starting to flatten out a little bit. And even the Bollinger Band here, the lower Bollinger Band starting to flatten out a bit as well. So that does kind of further confirm that we're about to see some consolidation here. Now let's go over to Ethereum, see what's going to happen with Ethereum. It's in a little bit of a different situation actually, but likely to see some consolidation as well. So for Ethereum, what's unfortunate is we're finding support right here at around $600, but it's not a true major support level, right? Our next major support level is in fact, basically all the way down to $500. So are we likely to come back and test $500? Well, it's possible, right? That is our next major support level. So if we do see cryptocurrencies take yet another big hit, then we're probably going to come back to $500 for Ethereum. With that being said, we just dipped below the 30 line on the RSI, and indicators are still downtrending. We do seem to have some support over here in the $600 area, so definitely could see Ethereum just consolidating in a pretty flat manner until reaching the downtrend line. And at that point, we'd have to see if we could break out of that to start moving higher, or if we're going to see more downside pressure from the downtrend line once we reach that area and then move lower. For now, though, seems to finding somewhat of stability over here at around $600. So hopefully that continues, but we can't really count on it because it isn't a major support level. Let's go over to Litecoin now and see what Litecoin has been doing. So it looks like Litecoin is, of course, still downtrending here. It's facing a lot of resistance at around $165. Not expecting it to break out of the downtrend just yet. Indicators still on a slight downtrend. And what's good is that we're coming towards the end of our symmetrical triangle formation. As you can see, it's in between the two red trend lines over here. And we'll be reaching the end of this very shortly here over the next few days. Hopefully we won't move below $145. And once we reach the end of formation, once again, we're either going to break towards the upside or downside. If we do break towards the upside, it would be nice to break above $165 as well. We'll just have to see what happens, right? We'll really just have to wait and see. What I will mention is that Litecoin is set up to kind of give us some first indications on how strong the market will be over the next week or two. So probably going to be one of the first cryptocurrencies to signal what's about to happen for the general market. But of course, we always have to really look towards the bigger ones like Bitcoin to, those are the ones that we can really count on as far as, general market movements. I'm going to hop over now to our next crypto. That's going to be Nano. Nano is pretty straightforward here. We can see that we did end up slowing down as far as the drop is concerned, and we're currently trading at around 107,000 satoshis. I expect some consolidation now between 100,000 and 114,000 satoshis, and actually I wouldn't be surprised to see some consolidation really in the middle of this range right here. I can go ahead and put in some extra support and resistance levels just so you get a better idea, because I do have a feeling that we may trade in a pretty tight range here. So we could actually end up trading in between around 103,000 satoshis and 110,000 satoshis. So as you can see, some consolidation in this range over here is pretty likely for some time until we get our next big move. We're now going to go over Ripple actually, and then we're going to go over Neo. So let's take a look at what Ripple has been up to. And it looks like Ripple is starting to move, basically very flat price action. And we're right above 65 cents, still not moving below that, which is good, but indicators definitely struggling to get some kind of crossover. And the more we hang around the 65-cent mark, it becomes pretty likely that we're going to see a drop below that. And that's not something that I want to see, because then we're going to be moving even lower in the cent range, closer to 50 cents, maybe even 40, 30 cents. Now, for now, we're still holding above that, and we could definitely see a bit of a bounce towards that 84-cent mark, but until we get some kind of indication on the indicators, I'd say consolidation is likely between these two levels, and I'm even leaning a little bit towards possibly seeing a drop lower. I'm not expecting Ripple to jump over 84 cents or anything over the next week or so. Now, let's go over to Neo, see what Neo has been up to. Go over to Bittrex here. And Neo is still downtrending. We did, however, pop out of this short-term downtrend. We, of course, have this longer-term red downtrend line over here, which is still in the making. Indicators took a massive hit. We are below the 30 line on the RSI. And I think that we're going to start to see the fall slow down a little bit here as we approach 60 cents. $60, $50. But we are in this downtrending channel now. I'll go ahead and make this blue downtrend line red so you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. But we're in this downtrending channel between these two downtrend lines, and we're probably going to move either a little bit horizontally, but probably slightly pushing lower in between this channel until we reach either some bigger support level. Next major support level at least is $43. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But for now, we're in this downtrending channel, which should push prices slightly lower over the next week or so. Now let's go over to Stellar, see what Stellar has been doing. And it's been a little bit different than most cryptocurrencies, so we have to take a look here. Looks like we are finding some support again at around 2,700 satoshis. Got a very interesting bounce here on the 30 line on the RSI. That's a very good sign, actually. We could always dip back below that over the next few days, but very good area to bounce off of, I will say that. And it looks like we may get some kind of bounce on the MACD and histogram as well. So those are things to pay attention to. With that being said, we're still not bullish or anything, right? We definitely took a massive hit, and we have some resistance levels to get back above. But hopefully this is maybe some kind of sign that we're going to be moving back towards $30,000. And if we're able to get back above that, then we're back in our previous consolidation between 3,000 and 3,500 satoshis. Now, could we move lower? Definitely possible, right? We still have a bit of a downtrending middle band, Bollinger Bands, so we could trickle down a little bit lower. Hopefully, though, we're going to find some major support at 2,500 satoshis, and I think that's pretty likely at this point that if we do end up trickling a little bit lower, that we just find some very good consolidation around 2,500 satoshis for the time being. Now, let's go over to Vertcoin. Vertcoin has been a tricky one. It's really been going up and down quite a bit. It had that very nice, attempt to turn bullish again. It lasted a minute, but unfortunately the market took another hit and it pushed us lower. We ended up going back towards $2. Didn't actually drop much lower than that though. Now we are kind of bouncing off the 30 line on the RSI. We see some flattening out on the indicators, which is good. Price starting to stabilize. I think we're going to consolidate around $2.10 until we reach our downtrend line over here, and at that point we'll see if we're able to make a breakout, but definitely possible that we move a little bit lower towards $1.54 if we reject this downtrend line, or just if the market gets weaker, right? Now let's go over our next crypto. That's going to be Lisk, and we're going to see what Lisk has been up to now. So previously one of the stronger cryptocurrencies out there, unfortunately lost a lot of its steam during this recent drop. Couple good signs though is the indicators are actually looking pretty strong here, surprisingly, compared to a lot of other cryptocurrencies. We've got this really nice hook back over on the MACD, popped back above the 30 line on the RSI. Histogram slowly but surely uptrending. We're about to get that positive crossover. I'll go ahead and draw in this little uptrend line here on the histogram. And the price is back above $12.15. What I wanted to point out though is, and I think this is probably the biggest signal here for Lisk, this is going to be our first crossover attempt, and if we look back, we had a very similar move not that long ago where our first crossover attempt failed, which is very common in technical analysis. And actually back here, also first crossover attempt failed. So it seems like Lisk does tend to make its breakout the second time around, and I think it's going to be very similar here as well. So I don't think we're going to get any kind of major move on this first crossover attempt. We're probably going to continue some consolidation around where we are now, basically around $12. Wouldn't be surprised to see us maybe move a little bit lower, near $10, maybe $8, but for now we're still holding up pretty well, so I won't make that call until we start moving lower again. But basically, probably going to see some consolidation here, and it's likely that the first crossover attempt fails. As you can see, we did actually experience a bit of a drop last time that happened, so that could happen again, but then we actually got a really nice breakout that recovered pretty quickly. So I think good chance that we see a very similar move happen this time around. And thankfully the indicators are very clear here on the Lisk chart. Now let's go over Cardano, see what Cardano has been doing. And unfortunately it took definitely a pretty big drop over the past few weeks. As you can see, non-stop downtrend. We had some flattening out over here near 2,500 Satoshis. We're now moving closer to 2,000 Satoshis, getting some flattening out there. Indicators all pretty flat, but we are pretty bearish on the RSI right below the 30 line. So we're going to look for a crossover back above that. And we're coming up on our downtrend line. We'll see if we're able to get some kind of breakout. Definitely possible, right? Indicators, the Bollinger Band's not looking too bad. Could start to see some flattening out, but good chance that we do end up breaking below 2,000 Satoshis, and then we'd be in this downtrending channel, pushing us even lower, maybe closer to 1,254 Satoshis. Within the next day or two, we'll know if we're going to be moving lower or if we're going to be able to consolidate at this higher range here near 2,500 Satoshis, and that would mean, of course, breaking out of our downtrend line. Let's go over Iota for our last cryptocurrency of the daily crypto update, and let's take a look at what Iota has been up to. Iota is consolidating with some very flat candlesticks right below $1.10. Indicators getting some flattening out, which is good. We're about to go back above the 30 line on the RSI. And those are all good signals. That means that we may not end up dropping too much here. We may avoid, a disaster of breaking below $1, but it does remain possible here as we're still in this very tight range, in this tricky situation between $1 and $1.10. So we have to see if we're able to get back above $1.10. That would put us, away from the edge, which we're at now, right? Because as long as we're near $1, it's going to be a bit tricky because any move that hits us and pushes us lower is going to push us back into the cent range. And after that, it's going to be trickling down lower and lower, maybe closer to 50 cents. With that being said, thanks for watching. This is the end of this video, and I'll see you next time.